Hello, I am here with the very first, what I'm calling, this is the working title, Money Moment. And I don't know if I love that title, but that's what's working for me right now. What it is every week, I'd like to do just a quick 5-ish minute. That's my commitment to you to keep it short and sweet. 5-ish minute video that is kind of like a little mini lesson about finances in some way, somehow connecting to our money and personal finance, whether it's mindset, a practical tip, anything like that, something that lines up with the newsletter for that week. So, this week, we kicked off a money and mindset series, and the newsletter for this week was all about our money story. So today's money moment is going to be about our money story. And so I made some notes because in my effort to keep it short, I know that I do a little bit better if I have some notes to remind me exactly what I want to talk about and that I don't get off on a tangent. If you've ever listened to our podcast or just listened to me on any sort of video where there wasn't an agenda or um, a slide deck to follow, I can go off on a little bit of a tangent. So, commitment is 5-ish minutes. We're going to call it a money moment until I can figure out a better name. Maybe it'll stick. Who knows? If you have suggestions, let me know. And again, it's just going to be like a little mini workshop and little mini lesson that lines up with the newsletter from that week. And so this week's topic is our money story. So, what is a money story? Our money story is all of the information and experiences and things that we've heard and learned and just absorbed and observed from other people throughout our life. Our money story really starts from when we're kids and what we hear and see our parents or our families doing, how they talk about money, how they talk about other people and their money, how they act with money, how they choose to spend or not spend, save, how much they discuss it. All of those things make up our money story. And it's really just all of those life experiences around finances that kind of create our feelings and beliefs about money. So, why does our money story matter? Because whatever we learned over all of the time, all the years of our life, that impacts how we feel and act and treat, sound familiar? Same language, right? Our money today. So the things that we learned and observed from others are the way that we tend to naturally feel and act with our money as well. So if you um, learned money information, money feelings from someone who really did not like money at all, who had negative feelings about it, you may have carried those feelings into your adult life, and it may be impacting how you manage your finances now without you even realizing it. So that's why taking some time to think about our money story matters because it definitely impacts and influences the way we feel and treat our money. So I'm going to tell you a little story. This is not my story, but I was at a retreat and we were talking about money and finances and just how we feel about money, how we learned our feelings about money, same kind of conversation. And this woman at the retreat, all of a sudden she was like, "Oh my gosh, I just had this like revelation." And all of us were like, what do you got?" And she said, "When I was a kid, growing up, and probably even still now, my parents talk negatively about anyone who they perceive as having money. So if they would pass a nice car, her dad or mom would be like, "Oh, that person's probably such a jerk. They have to drive a nice car." If they were driving through a neighborhood where the houses were seemed nicer than theirs, right? Or a little bit of a fancier neighborhood, they would put down the people and say, "Oh, these people probably think they're better than us. They're probably so pretentious. They're all they think about is money. All they care about is money." And it just was this constant negative conversation. And she didn't even realize that until she was kind of spending a little bit of time thinking about it at this retreat. And she was like, "I think this keeps me from earning more money because my ingrained perception is that people who are financially comfortable, financially stable, who have a little bit more, who can afford a nice car, who can buy a little bit of a nicer house, my perception of them is negative. Everything she heard growing up was negative and tearing those people down. And it transferred into her adult life where she was like, I think I kind of keep myself from earning more money because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be someone who is pretentious and rude and thinks bad about other people and talks down to them or whatever. All of those things that her parents had taught her over time. And that's kind of an extreme and very specific example, right? So yours may not be like that, but maybe you grew up in a house where people didn't just talk about money. And so you didn't really learn how to manage it because everybody kept it very secret. Or maybe they said, we don't talk about money outside the house. And they made it very like this hush hush private secret thing. And so you never learned to ask people about money or how they manage it or learn from other people because it was meant to be this like secret. Or maybe you had a family who used the terms like, oh, we'll never have enough money. We'll always be broke. We'll always be poor. These aren't necessarily terms that I like, but I'm thinking of terms that I know other people have used, right? Those kind of like negative sayings and phrases that people have about money. Oh, you'll never be good with money. Oh, just these little things that you might have heard that you just absorbed as like part of your truth when it comes to money and finances. And now it's impacting you today. So just take some time and really think about that and then decide what you want to hang on to and what you want to let go because you can rewrite your money story. You can tell yourself, you know what? Just because that's how my parents felt or my grandparents or my aunt and uncle, or those were the types of things they used to say and feel about money, that doesn't mean that's how I have to feel about money, right? And you can actually shift that pretty easily by separating yourself from those people's feelings and those people's thoughts and perceptions. And just telling yourself, actually, this is the money story I want to have. Like, it's okay to be financially comfortable. It's okay to make a lot of money. It's okay to be paid what you're worth and be paid and have people value your worth and your effort and your time and your work. So, take a little bit of time and think about, where did your money story start? What got you to the point where you are now? What made you feel and think about money the way that you do now? And then decide, which parts of that story do I want to rewrite? Is it the whole thing? Do I want to scrap it all? And like kind of create new feelings and perceptions about money? Or do you want to hang on to some parts, like maybe my grandpa was super frugal and made a lot of very frugal choices that I were too much, right? He took it too far. But some of those were great. And I'd like to hang on to some of those things, right? There are some shortcuts I can make to save some money. But I'm also trying to enjoy my life and not just eat food that tastes terrible because it's cheaper, right? That was my grandpa. So think about which parts you want to hang on to and which parts you want to rewrite for yourself and what that looks like. And whether that's just you having an personal conversation with yourself in the car, like talking through your feelings, whether you write it down, journal about it, just kind of type out what you want it to look like. It doesn't matter, whatever works best for you, but think about your money story and what you want it to be from now moving forward.